Hey guys, it's Kelly as usual. Today I want to talk about stupidity because I have been in such a strange place in the past few months. Honestly, it started from college. I went to college and I did computer science, as I have mentioned so many times. And those classes, they grabbed me by my hair and yanked so hard that I left that college thinking I was dumb. I left there thinking there's no way I'm going to be able to get a job with the skills that I built over here because, sorry, I feel like I just rocked my ponytail out of place. I left there thinking that, like, because I struggled in those classes so much, that there was no way that I was ever going to be able to get a job. I come home and, like, I don't know, like, whatever energy that I have been in has just, like, made me feel too stupid to do anything that I'm actually, like, good at. And, like, I feel like before, like, the past 4 years of my life, I had more confidence in my skills. Like I was talking to some of my friends yesterday about like, what we were like in high school because we were all like honors kids and we burnt out somewhere along the line. And it's crazy how an experience like that will make you think you're actually stupid. Even though like a lot of us were like overperforming when we were in high school because like I don't know. Like I don't really know what makes you so much like or make I don't know, like what made me so much more like competent in high school. Maybe like the pressure just wasn't there. And like all the stuff that I was doing was like genuinely for my enjoyment. But it's like the moment that you're like put on a grading scale and like your life depends on it, out the window, literally out the window. I think it's the stress. It's a combination of things. But I think that also, like, as an immigrant daughter, I think that that is one thing that we don't really talk about enough is just like so perpetuated. And even just as a woman in general, like, I think that it benefits other people for women to be stupid. And so naturally, we're constantly like so much of your energy just goes into gaslighting yourself into thinking, like, I am helpless. I need somebody else to look at this for me because I'm going to do it wrong. And that in itself stops you from being able to do anything because you're just constantly thinking about what you could be doing wrong instead of what you're doing right. You know, the other day, like I I don't know, I didn't do it like from my own mind, but like I followed a tutorial to code a snake game. And I did it. Like the snake game worked and everything. And after doing that, I think it just helped my confidence, even though like I didn't do it from memory or anything. I just had it in my head for some reason that I just don't know how to do any of it. And like taking that little baby step to do it on my own, just like not only did it remind me, like refresh me about all the skills that I had like literally buried deep, deep, deep down inside my brain. It just showed me that like it wasn't as scary and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. And I think that another thing too is like when you do get burnt out and you spend so much time avoiding a situation that has caused you so much anxiety and turmoil. It's like a locked box, okay? It's like when you're scared of something, your brain puts it in this like locked box and it just like throws it in a corner and you don't ever want to touch it ever, ever, ever again. And so once you can get past that fear, once you can like kind of like undo those emotions and get to the root of the problem, like get to that the sense of joy that that thing might have brought you in the past. I think that it makes it a lot easier to get in touch with like your childhood brain and the things that just came naturally to you because it's not this life or death situation anymore. Because I think that that sense of overwhelm is something that just really stops you from just doing your best. When we're in this state of fear, our minds want to jump to like it's one thing or it's the other. But we always fall in this little middle part, this like gray area where maybe it does suck, but once you keep working at it and keep working at it, you get to this side and it's not that bad anymore, you know? Like one thing that was pretty rough for me as growing up as an immigrant child was just that like everything that you do is like backed by this like idea that if you don't get this done, if you don't perform well, you are dying. Like something terrible is going to happen to you. Like whether it's from your religion or from your parents or from your friends, I don't know. Like just like the environments that we're often surrounded in are telling us that like we have to get this thing done or else There it is life or death. It's survival mode constantly, constantly, constantly. And I think fear and survival mode go hand in hand. I would define survival mode as a state that you're in where like you're adopting this black and white thinking because of the fear that you're in. You're honestly making all of your decisions based upon that fear, projecting it into the future. And so you're usually choosing the worst case scenario because you're like, I can't afford to have better for myself. I can't afford to have the luxury things that I want. I am thinking about my basic needs and like only my basic needs. So I'm not thinking about the me in the future that's going to want these things as well. And also it's like this quick thinking because your brain is so focused on like rapidly getting what you want, like this instant gratification. You are going to put all your cards on the present moment and not plan ahead for a future that you actually desire. You're not thinking about your desires, you're thinking about your needs. There's two types of environments that we're often like put in our lives. There's immediate return environments, which are like, think like you're hunting, right? You're hunting, you're in danger. You have to make the quickest like snap judgment. Your survival depends on it. So your brain is like in this zone of like black and white, it's life or death. It's crunch time. We're not just put in those environments when we're in danger though. Honestly, like when we're on our phones, that's another time that we see these immediate return environments. But like our brain is kind of in the same state of like it is one thing or the other because of that speed. That speed naturally puts you in fight or flight. The other one is delayed return environments, where your actions give you delayed results. And these are more common nowadays, especially if you live in like the suburbs or a city. The types of civilizations that we're used to living in now are usually like this because you go to work, you put in some work, you get your check like 2 weeks later or a month later, or you get a salary and like I don't know. I don't know how I don't have a job, so I don't know how salaries um, because we're in these modern environments that are usually more delayed, but now with our phones and our technology, we're experiencing these like immediate return environments. Um, I think it can like kind of scramble your brain a little bit. There's also something called time inconsistency where the brain prioritizes the rewards that come quicker. Like you just naturally want to see the results quicker. And so that's why things that come quicker to us are so enticing. You post something like say on TikTok or something and you immediately start getting likes. That feels a lot better than posting something and not seeing any results for like weeks and weeks and weeks. It makes you like associate the things that come quicker with better outcomes, but I think that in like getting used to this like instant gratification, we're also forgetting that things that are better for us usually take more time. Like it's like working out muscle. On your first day of working out, you're not going to like immediately be buff and like, have all the muscles that you want. It's going to take like consistency and repetition. So like now that we're so used to getting things at the snap of our fingers, I think that we're forgetting that you usually do have to try. You usually do have to put in that work to get the results that you really, really, really want to see. Especially with dating. Like, okay, you're on a dating app, you're looking through all these profiles, like one after the other, one after the other. And my experience with dating apps has been I know I will never get on a dating app ever again. You cannot pay me enough. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. And I realized after I got off of the dating apps that the reason why they're so bad is because you honestly cannot learn enough about a person by just reading a bio and seeing a couple pictures and hearing a voice note or whatever. People can say anything about who they are, but it takes time to actually like understand who they are because usually sometimes the things that you say about yourself are not true. You have to like corroborate that evidence with what you actually see and how you experience that person. Once again, that's one of the things that has just become like, you're supposed to get it like that. And if you don't, then there's something wrong. It feels like there's something wrong, but there's really nothing wrong. It's just that your brain wants it right now. And, it doesn't always work like that. I think a lot of the time, too, this instant gratification is connected more to performance than it is actually being authentic. If you want to understand somebody in a snap judgment, you are seeing what they're performing rather than who they actually are. When we're only like giving ourselves such a short amount of time to experience things, we're not really getting to know things for what they are. We're just looking at the surface and deciding that that's a good enough for us because it satisfies this like tiny lizard brained part of us that wants things when we want it. That's where a lot of that fear comes from, is like just like constantly being on go mode and not being able to slow down and enjoy things, because like the slower that you take things, the more time you give your brain to understand. I also learned this more as I've started to make more art and like create and, edit videos. The first cut is usually not the best one. It takes like coming back to it, watching it through again, re-editing, thinking of something new and adding that. Like that's when I usually get my best work. When I was in college and like even now, a lot of the jobs that I'm seeing are, they like you get penalized for things like that, for like not being great on the first try, or like taking longer than they expect you to, even if you're not that type of person that gets it on the first try. I think it's kind of crazy that like, that's such a human thing. That's like to need time. That is so human, but we're like honestly getting to a point where that is like that's just not good for business, and so that's not what we are promoting anymore. And I think that's why like we're seeing all these declines in our quality of living. Like the clothes that we're wearing are getting cheaper. People are just not as nice to each other anymore because like you're not taking the time to actually understand people. It's just like what it is on the surface is what it is. I think that's just all attributed to this speed. And I know I started off this video talking about stupidity, and it's gone so many different directions already. But I think that all ties back to me feeling stupid because people want to see what they want to see on the first try. They just don't want to give you the time. If they can understand you, then like they will just judge you off of what they have known before. I feel like as somebody that has always seen myself as not the smartest for some reason, even though I've like proven myself wrong on multiple occasions, it's like because I am stuck in that like view of myself, because I haven't really given myself the time to grow into somebody that I want to be. I think that I've learned to be very understanding of other people and given them the time to show me something different than what I've seen. But other people have not really done the same for me. And so when you're constantly up against people's projections, you can often be harder on yourself than you need to be. Like for so much of my life, I've just kind of thought that like if I didn't do it right the first time, then I just might as well just stop and like give up. I've never really given myself the time to mess up and learn from that. And that's like how you learn. You can learn anything by the book. You can read a couple textbooks, attend a couple lectures. That doesn't mean that you have the real life experience to show you what it feels like to do that thing correctly. We need to be able to make mistakes and try again in order to actually like know what life is like and not just like assume based on what we see on our phones or what somebody smarter than us has told us. And I think that that's why I felt so stupid. People have assumed that I am incapable mentally because I'm a woman and because I'm all these things, like that learned helplessness that really gets you. If you think of things as a timeline, you have the past, you have the future, and you're somewhere in the middle. In order to get from one place to the other, you have to take a few steps forward. But when you're in the state where you are so overwhelmed that you don't even know where to go, you're not even thinking about what's in front of you. You're thinking about something that is miles in front of you or way behind you that you don't even have access to. You're not accepting where you are now, and you're not thinking about the actionable steps that you can take to get where you want to go. You're only thinking about what's going wrong and things that you can't change because they're out of your control. But when you do slow down and you take time to receive this information, I just feel like it would be so much easier to become what you want to become, even at a faster rate, because you are like actually processing what you should be doing instead of like crying over spilt milk. So yeah, like I don't think that I ever was stupid for real. We're just moving too fast at the end of the day, and everything takes time. We're so used to seeing like the perfect polished versions of things, like the final product, that it is like almost inconceivable to present yourself as somebody that hasn't had it figured out, or that is imperfect. I think the standards are just getting too high and we just can't keep up with them. By God, we're like literally competing with robots and AI and all that stuff. If you want that result, you can get it, but you're gonna have to make mistakes. That's something that I've had to learn from this whole experience is that like a lot of the time people will judge you for making those mistakes when they can't handle themselves making them either. And that's why you just can't take advice from people that aren't in the place that you would want to be either. Because if they're hard on themselves like that, obviously they're going to be hard on you. They're projecting. They're literally projecting. Like if people are hating, they're usually jealous, to be honest with you. And that means that you're doing something right. If they're mad, they're going to stay mad. The things that people try to stop you from doing often in a weird way show you what direction you should be going in because people wouldn't be mad at nothing, you know? So take that energy and like alchemize it into something that only propels you forward and makes you try harder next time. Don't let that fear stop you because that is really like fear is your number one worst enemy. And it convinces you that like the things that you want aren't worth trying for. If it didn't matter, I don't think you would be scared, to be honest. Like that's something that I had to come to terms with too is like the things that I'm most scared of usually show me what I want the most. And so like the best way in my opinion to get over that fear is to slow down, is to understand where it's coming from and to try. Falling is the first step. Once you fall the first time, you feel that pain. You have the choice of like saying, yeah, this isn't for me, or yes, this is something that I want to try again. Because, like, yeah, if you try something and it doesn't work out the first time, you could call yourself a failure. You could stop there and let that be the story. But if you keep trying and keep making those mistakes, you're going to get better every time. Over time, you're going to rewrite that story into something that you actually want to see. It's like doing a sketch. You know, you don't just stop at the first line. You keep sketching until you see the picture that you want. And so, yeah, that is my message for today. Just like it takes time and don't stop trying. Just keep on trying. Yeah. Hate the fact that I'm like becoming a motivational speaker. Sometimes I just want to open this camera up and like talk about my day, but it's always got to be like, no, you can do it, you can do it, and you know, maybe that's what I need to hear too. So yeah, this has been Kelly, and yeah, have a good one.